I grew up in New York City during the Tupac and Biggie era. So of course, I grew up surrounded by the music of artists like Nas, Biggie, and Wu-Tang. But even back then, I was always a huge fan of Dr. Dre's production. The way he built those epic West Coast records always stuck with me. So for this video, I wanted to test myself and put myself in that mindset by taking one of my own original samples and then flipping it into an anthem that I think that Dr. Dre would have been proud of. So picture this dream scenario. Dr. Dre's on YouTube one day, he's scrolling, he comes across my channel, and he sees the video from my Interlude sample pack. He clicks it, starts listening for a little bit, and this sample immediately grabs his attention. Now, normally whenever I do a breakdown, I'll start with the melodic elements, but with Dr. Dre, a lot of the times the drums are the foundation. So I started with this kick and snare pattern. So the kick that I went with here has that low end thump, but it also has that mid-range punch that you typically hear in Dr. Dre classics. Then I layered the snare with the clap to give you that sharp forward yet stereo sound. Instead of hi-hats, I wanted to give a nod to Nothing But a G Thing, where Dr. Dre uses a tambourine. Now, Dre's production obviously has that classic West Coast swing to it, which is subtle, but it's also everything. And it's what makes his drums feel human, but still tight. So to help get that, I bumped up the shift here in FL Studio, varied the note velocities, and pushed some of the notes slightly off grid to loosen it up. Dre's drum placement is always surgical and every hit feels intentional.
It was a cut above the rest. You could hear all of the snares, all of the bass, all of the clarity, all of the lyrics, all of the scratches.
So I added an open hi-hat, a secondary tambourine hit back in every other snare, and a tambourine shaker to fill out the space. If you're a producer looking to level up your beats with some high quality sounds, I got you. I'm giving away nearly 100 sounds, including multiple samples from different genres, drum breaks, instrument loops, and melodic one-shots. And all you have to do is send me $5,000. I'm kidding, it's actually free. Let me show you what's inside. 10 hard-hitting 808s, 13 instrument loops to help spark your inspiration, 50 melodic one-shots to add to your music arsenal, a royalty-free sample pack just because, and a bonus sample pack with hand-picked samples from the Hill Sounds, including 5 neo boom bap samples, 5 soul samples, 5 trap samples, and 5 vintage samples. Saying all of that kind of makes me feel like if I wasn't the boss, I'd get in trouble for giving all of this stuff away. Just hit the link in the description and let me know where to send your sounds. So now, once I felt like I captured the spirit of the drums, I moved on to the instrumentation. Dr. Dre's melodies are deceptively simple. It's usually like 2 to 3 motifs that repeat, but they also evolve over time. He tends to lean a lot on pianos, Rhodes, analog synths, strings, and brass stabs. But even when he bases his beats off of samples, it still feels like it was played by hand, which is something that I kind of already captured when I made the sample originally. And one of the great things about this sample is I also structured it with song composition in mind. So I chopped this one up in Serato sample, and then I pitched it down 4 semitones. Next, I added effects to give it that cinematic atmosphere Dr. Dre is known for, especially in his more recent work, and to make space for the drums. So especially if you're listening to that on headphones, you're gonna notice that the sample goes from being buried to balanced without fighting the drums. Then I added this synth lead for that signature West Coast flavor. And for that, I decided to go with this preset that I found in Silent because it already had that smooth, expressive tone that I needed. Now, Dre's arrangements always tend to evolve in subtle but powerful ways. Every 4 to 8 bars, something changes, whether it's a new sound, a percussion layer, or a transition. So for the next 8 bars of the verse, I switched to a different part of the sample. So as you can hear, that small change gives the verse movement. It goes from laid back to melodic while letting the artist breathe without losing momentum. And then when the hook drops, the whole thing turns into an anthem. But now it still needs that one thing that every classic Dre beat has, which is the bass. And the way that his bass patterns tend to work with the beat is they tend to talk with the drums. So it's syncopated but never busy, because remember, Dre is always really intentional about what he adds to his beats. He often uses a sine or a Moog style bass. So I opened up the Mini V plugin and decided to go with this rolling bass preset. So you're gonna notice two things here. One, the bass is more felt than it is heard. Dre's mixes are sub heavy, but they're also balanced. And then two, I only brought it in halfway through the verse, so the arrangement keeps evolving. And in fact, even the synth lead doesn't come in until verse 2 for the same reason. So once everything was locked in, I moved over to Logic to polish the mix and to add the finishing touches. For example, I added an 808 sub bass to accent the right hits and to make the production feel a little bit closer to some of the tracks that I've heard Dre make in more recent years. So again, when we're talking about Dr. Dre's bass sounds, it's usually more felt than it is heard. Then I actually added a light bass layer in the intro because I needed it to fill up a little bit more space, because I'm not actually using the sample in the intro. So as you can see, it's just enough to keep it musical without stealing the focus from the drums. And then finally, I added this big snare with a reverse leading into it for some cinematic impact. Now, fun fact, I already broke down how I made the sample for this beat in another video. So if you want to see the exact process that I used in order to make the melodic foundation for this beat, you can check it out in this video right here.